Good morning, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty dang good. Renny Doyle podcast. Today is a special day. Well, today is a special day for a lot of reasons. But for you and me did you ever think that we'd be together for 100 of anything?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just
I
go to
didn't
the
I didn't
future
think
and
you
say
put up
that.
with me that long.
Well, I didn't think. I still don't think you're going to put up with me that long. Let's just say that we could jump to the future and the vaccine shot actually extends our life 100 years from where we're at right now. Okay.
Oh, man.
So would you stay by my side for another 100 years?
Well, so far so
You
good.
had to think about that. You had to take a deep breath and think about that. Wow.
I can't imagine you at, what would that make you, 155?
Yeah, 155 years old. That'd be cool. Yeah, I can't either, but
Yeah, so then when you that means you would act like you were, I don't know, 16?
Well, I'd be back in diapers.
Well, that's
Probably,
for sure.
Right? Yeah, I'd be reversing
Probably.
it back. So 100 podcasts, and the whole shutdown and pandemic and all this stuff really took our podcast a different direction. And slowly we're getting it back where we really wanted it to go. But we went in a lot of people. Let's talk about those 100 episodes. We've had some really good ones. And
Well,
I want to say
I was gonna say when we started it off, they were in-person interviews and that kind of stuff, and recorded at events and stuff like that. And now here we are on Zoom still. Not really Zoom, but
Right.
Same idea.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we go live. We started out with conversations, trying to help people. We got a lot of we still get a tremendous amount of messages. I think that's probably what's been the coolest part of doing the podcast for you?
Just hearing from people, like you said, the messages, hearing from people that it makes an impact, that it's been changing things for them. So that's good. I even, I hear from somebody, at least once a week, hey, we love the podcast, listen all the time, that kind of thing. And it just blows my mind that somebody takes the time to listen to us.
Yeah, really.
Actually, they mostly listen to you, but it's, I'm here too.
What blows me away more is that they actually watch us on YouTube. That blows me away more than listening, because then they got to see us.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. And so, 100. So today we're going to really talk about something that's really important to me, and let life speak to you. That's the topic. I've got a lot of notes, so we're going to try to condense. I always put more notes into it. I did have somebody last night on Messenger. I can't remember which one of the ones. They asked me how much prep time it takes us for a podcast. And surprisingly, the answer is these things don't. These are real life experiences, so it doesn't take like days to put it together, because it's real. It's shit that we've lived through. There is probably, I don't know, how much time do you put into like just getting ready for it? Maybe an hour.
Oh, there's an hour of prep for these when it comes to the behind the scenes stuff and the promotion of it and stuff like that. But you mentioned that it doesn't take you that long, but really, I mean, you're always prepping for stuff like this. I mean, you've got a long list of topics and notes on those topics, and you don't necessarily always know when you're gonna address it and use it, but you're always working on them.
Yeah. Well, you just cut out for a second, by the way. So if we lose you for some reason, we'll move on. But I'm going to say that on average, I probably have, if you wanted to answer the person's question, probably about 4 hours. So for every podcast, there's probably on my end probably about 4 hours of actual like putting the notes together, moving things around, and then I always come back on it, several days out, and then I always come back on it. Believe it or not, I made adjustments about an hour and a half ago. And because things change, right? And it's kind of what we're going to talk about is let life speak to you, is that, the message. And here's the deal is I guess the audience I go after is I'm kind of an underdog. And, I'm not even going to jump in here in a second. We got some people we want to introduce. We weren't going to do this podcast today. We were going to actually we were going to record another one and skip it to 101, and then do something like over the top crazy for 100. And it was actually this topic, when we talked about it, this topic is Chris and I, to show you how the universe works. I'd sent Chris this what I wanted to talk about, and I didn't know it was going to be the 100th. And I said, this is something really strong to me. And then I came into these guys that are here training with us in interning, and I told them, hey, we're going to do this live with you guys here because you're a cool group and we've heard the story. And really, my story and my struggles leading up to this, there's people here with us right now that themselves or their loved ones have had far greater struggles and have made it. So it's really cool. But, let life speak to you, as you live things in your business and everything else. So real quick, we want to thank P&S Products for jumping in and always supporting us on the podcast. And then we're going to introduce our interns first and then our students of the month. And then so we're going to get up in our first intern. The reason why today's kind of cool is it's our 100th podcast. He's a really good friend, and it's his birthday, and it's his anniversary. He was here on training a year ago and celebrated his birthday with us a year ago. So, Luis, come on up and introduce yourself. So happy birthday, bud.
Thank you. Hey, Chris. Hi, everybody. Last year I was here, Luis Melgoza with Diamond Detail. And I don't really care about my birthday, but I wanted to get this last year, and I was here. I loved it, and I'm so glad that I'm here again. So thanks.
You bet. Well, and he does care about his birthday. So next we got Steve. He does. We've got special presents. Steve gave him a special present last night. We got one for him. We got a whole group present for him tonight. And so with that, Steve, come on up. So you guys just do your thing. I'm going to get out of the way.
Hey, Steve Thompson, Boise, Idaho, detail doctors here interning. And the best part about interning is it's a refresher from a year ago when Luis and I first met. And the group that's here, it's so diverse. And I was posting on Facebook about it, and I couldn't think of, I wouldn't replace any of you with anybody to be working with. And it's an honor. And it's only like day 3.
And this is what's cool. This wasn't planned either, but if you look over our shoulders, that's one of his company hats that he placed on the wall a year ago.
Longer than that.
That was 2 years ago. Yeah. So he pushed it up there. We have taken it down to clean around it and dusted it off, but it hasn't moved. And so, that's how sentimental we are, within the trainings and so forth. And so it's cool to have him. Steve's out of Boise, so Idaho's dear to my heart. Spent, about a third of my life in Idaho. And so go Broncos, right? All right, guys. So just file by and introduce yourselves.
Josh Pierce, Carousel Auto Appearance in Iowa City, Iowa. This place is pretty badass. So if you haven't been, you need to come.
Samantha Sweden, Bella Vita Mobile Detailing in Scotts Valley, California.
You got to tell them what's the name. What's your company name mean?
The Good Life in Italian.
I like it. Jump in there.
How's everybody doing? Jeremy Carrillo from Northern California, United States Air Force. No company currently, but soon to be when I retire from the Air Force. As a Air National Guard guys say, once you go black, you never go back. So double black's a big favorite of mine.
Right on. Good job.
Edward Lopez from San Diego, California. Don't have a business yet, but that's the plan in the near future.
Okay, so stay up here. So this young man ties us for the youngest person to ever come through training, 16 years old. And he too, just like the past 16-year-old, does not have his license yet. So I want to take and tell you guys that this is anybody that says the generations coming up aren't cool. This is proof that they are. Is because this kid's fitting into an adult world and right into the skill set and everything else, doing it. But credit to you guys. You guys are stepping up and treating him like an adult, one of you, and it's been badass. So kill it. All right, so let's jump into it, Chris, shall we? And so let's go ahead and let's get into this. One of the again, let life speak to you is, if you're really smart, is that let me start out, is that as I get older, I figure out I'm not as tough as I thought I was. is that I have faced, in search and rescue, I've never got shot up by a gun. Yet I've gone out and had to deal with people that were shot up pretty bad. I've never taken taken direct fire and gotten hit. Yet I've responded to people that have. I've never gone out and been in a gang fight. But yet I've responded to gang fights and had to provide medical. I've never been lost in the wilderness for countless days and been exposed so bad I'm near death, but yet we've gone out and we dealt with those people. So those people, the ones that lived to tell, they were strong enough to come out of that and in the diversity and go on with life. I've never faced that. I've only had to deal with it from the other side of it. And so those people are really strong. People right here with us right now, dealing with their loved ones or themselves, dealing with homelessness. Two things I've never faced in my life is being homeless and not being loved. And there's people that face that every day and are facing it right now. So I'm not that tough. But with that, I've had my own struggles in life. One of the biggest misses in my life was not listening to life. And one of them was not having the faith in myself to know I could do it. I knew I could do it, but deep down, I didn't believe I deserved it. Deep down, I believed that somebody at any time, and I'm talking all the way into my 40s, was going to come rip it away. I was terrified of being broke. I was terrified of not having good credit, to the point that it really ruled my life. And that's not a healthy thing. In my 20s, I had a work hard, play harder mentality. And then I let some stinking thinking getting into my brain. Not a person, is a collective of things that I experienced where I thought I had to be a provider, where I thought I had to be that just working nonstop, that I had to provide everything for everybody else in my life. And I forgot to feed myself. I forgot to take a breath. All the things that are important to me and were important pretty much went away. Now, you know what? You could say my family was there. I had kids. I had my wife and everything else. God bless that. I mean, I'm not saying that's not important. But let me tell you, you screw up real quick in life if you lose you. And at least I did. Maybe some of you are, again, I'm not that strong of a person. Is that, we were talking yesterday, and I used to think that I was probably a 3%er. The guy like Jocko is a 1%er, and I've probably resolved myself now in my 50s to figure out I'm a 5%er. I'm top 5 in toughness. That's a big statement in itself. A lot of you might think that you are 3% or you're 1%, but until you see people and hear stories like I heard yesterday, and you see people at their worst and they live. I'm not sure some of the people that I've gone out and had to rescue, I'm not sure if I was in their situation, I would have made it. And their will to survive was so strong. Now I say that, but I got a strong will. But some people have a stronger will. Where I really screwed up was not giving back to myself. And I want to talk to you about having that ability to go out and listen, man. If you're going to make it, you're going to work harder and do things that you never thought you had to do. I'm not today. I don't mean that you're not going to have to work hard. I'm just going to have to tell you right now that if you put a fighter jet in the air and go afterburner right now, they're not going to go very far. But yet, if you crank back that on the power and let it cruise a little bit, is that you want to hit that afterburner only when you need it. The rest of the time, you want to get to a nice cruise speed and make it happen. And so we're going to address how to adjust all these different things. Now, a second follow-up is that I gave up important things in my life and I overworked. And so I didn't believe in myself to the core. I didn't think I deserved it. And I looked over my shoulder an awful lot. I looked at my past like it was going to be my future. Is that I kept looking back at the things that I experienced that were bad and kept dwelling on those things. And honestly, that wasn't until our now 23-year-old daughter told me that just years ago. She was in college, and she's an Air Force officer now. And she says, Dad, I know things have happened to you, but you got to stop looking back at those things and just put them behind you. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't until my daughter, probably then a teen, said that to me that I was able to not look backwards over my shoulder anymore. I was in my 50s by that time, my early 50s. And all the way up until that time, I was constantly looking over my shoulder. Not that anything was following me, not that I had any guilt for anything, but I kept looking back there, expecting to go back there. I couldn't accept that where I was, that I was going to stay there, and I deserved it. And I can't tell you how much further in health, mental health, happiness, maybe even financial, maybe the people around me would have been had I not kept looking over and thinking I was going back there, that I deserved to go back where I came from, because I didn't. I didn't deserve. I let other people's mouths get into my ear and fill me with, I didn't deserve it. And ask yourself this: how many times have you heard people say, hey, you know what? God, why are you doing that? Why are you starting this business? Why are you working so hard? Why are you wasting your time? You're never going to do that. You can't achieve that. You know, yeah, you can. And the second somebody says that to you, rethink their meaning to you. And I had to take some steps away from some people to get away from that. But in the back of my head, some of that was fuel to propel me. And honestly, some of it was ghost holding my feet back. I was dragging them. And it wasn't because that person said it. It's because I wouldn't release it. I wouldn't let go of that negative thought, and it got into my head. But was it their fault? No, I had that negative thought there. They just made it surface again. And because they reiterated it, I kind of believed it in a twisted kind of way. So a close follow-up on my lack of faith in myself was overworking and stressing out my mind. I mean, I just overworked and overstressed. And it's probably the other way. I probably overstressed and overworked. And the reason why I overstressed was because I was overworking. I can tell you, there's times, again, use the afterburner. You can go to, hyperspeed and just cruise, get up there to elevation, have a nice groove going. And then every once in a while, when the need comes up, put in afterburner. I just didn't know how to do that. Is I really thought growing up that the only way that you were going to make it was to absolute go full blast hardcore. And I couldn't shut that down, and I couldn't shut my mind down. I just couldn't do it. And slowly but surely, I started getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And what I mean by sicker and sicker and sicker is that something's going to come out. And my clarity wasn't as clear because I was stressed. Is my capability of being, I sounded confident, I looked confident, but deep down, I wasn't confident at all. And that overworking was taking and actually making what I was doing worse. Is that I wasn't letting life speak to me because I had so much noise going in my head of nonsense that I thought was important, that now looking back wasn't important at all. Now, on all these things, I was able to stop it at a pretty decent age, but it shouldn't happen in the first place. And if it did happen, it should have happened for a very, very short duration. That's why I'm sharing it with you now. I want to also mention that I've witnessed a new movement in entrepreneurship, is that your business is not a charity. Is that there's a whole, and I think people out there, let's face it, about 90% of businesses that start up fail. It's a high number, especially in our industry. Worldwide, all businesses not that high, but in our industry, it's that high. And a small business that high because they don't count a lot of them. A lot of them are dead before they get off the ground. But here's the deal: is that you cannot take and read a book, go to a class, listen to a podcast, watch TikTok. I always tell people I don't need inspirational videos. I need inspirational music, and I need inspirational words. But if you got to keep going back and filling your flat tires with inspirational videos, something's wrong. Something's wrong. You should naturally be inspired to move ahead on your own. And nobody's going to do it for you. You're going to have to do all of the lifting yourself. Now, we're going to get into delegation here in a minute. Delegation, a lot of people think when we talk about this, is delegation to your staff. No, it's delegation to your family. Is that, there's times that I felt that I really let my family down. There's also times I really felt my family let me down. It goes both ways. But I started that fight. Does that make sense? The other thing is that if your family are reaping the rewards of your hard work and efforts, guess what? There's some sweat equity put into that. There's also some giving. You're an A type and you're very demanding. So you've got to take and realize that and kind of get away from that and realize that you can't let your drive rule your relationships. So I want to take and talk about what I've learned in the last decade on the envisioning part of things is that you just can't take and make a plan out, a written plan. First off, our business plan is pretty short, 3 or 4 pages long. That's even our marketing plan. That's our financial plan. That's everything. It's really short. If you're going in for funding for a loan, well, you're probably going to have to get a little more involved. But our plan is very simple. What is not simple is that we mind map out each and every one of those, and we take and filter it down until everything fits our business and where we want to go. You also got to take and envision, what do I want out of this business? Where do I want to go with this business? And I can tell you this right now, I have watched a lot of people with their drive and their motivation is to be rich. It's a money only motivation. That's really dangerous. Is that first off, in this day and time, I've lost to COVID in the last 3 days, 3 people. 3 days, 3 people. I'm hoping that trend doesn't continue. But the first thing this morning when I get on social media, there's at least 6 other people that are on ventilators, of loved ones that either I know or people that are in their direct circle. We don't know when our time's going to end. We're in weird times right now, the weirdest times of my life for sure. And so for you to go out and strictly, you're a young man, you got your whole life in front of you, is to strictly go out there and just simply work is not the answer in my book. You've got to bring great joy into your life. And why do we work? Well, hopefully you work to move ahead, but not just that. The old saying is you're not going to take it with you, and you're not. I've never seen a person take their last breath and grab their money before they check out. Matter of fact, I've never even heard anybody mention their money. Well, one guy, I mentioned of him in a speech I give. But, my start wasn't always easy. No dad, special education. And I've shared that many times, and I'm not going to dive into there because there's a lot of you that face a lot more than that. But I will tell you this, that I spoke at an event last week, and one of our suppliers had brought her daughter. And I had taken and shared my story of not knowing my dad and being thrown into the thrust of special education, which at the time was the worst thing that could ever happen to a young kid, right? But shortly after, that was the best thing that ever happened to me because it just taught me to learn at a whole nother level. That young lady came up to me afterwards with tears in her eyes. She's 18 years old and shared that she had never known her dad either. And she's also a special ed kid. And we talked about the struggles. And I'll tell you, it was really refreshing because we hadn't been able to I hadn't talked to a fellow special ed person that was like passionate about it in a long time. And it really woke me up to that little girl that I lived through that. She's living through it. And it was so amazing to see her passion and to be able to tell her, don't listen to whoever what they're telling you right now. You can do anything you want. Matter of fact, I said, I want you to look at all the A students in your class right now, at the whole school. Most of them are going to work for the C students. Most of them are going to go work for the C students. They're going to have a boss that was a C student that has been able to develop his or her personality and his or her way of communication and his or her way of building up relationships. And that's going to excel you further than anything else you've got. You need to go learn, but you got to develop you first. Now, mental implanting. Mental implanting, if you Google it, is I got into this probably 5 or 6 years ago. And a lot of people think it's hocus pocus. But let me tell you, is again, let life speak to you, is that the things that are in your mind is where you're going to go. And if you think that you're going to be down here, guess where you're going to be? Because that's the imagery you're going to have. So, for instance, is one of the things that I implanted in my mind is that we had been looking for our property where our shop is for 5 years. And I just I knew that we're going to get something. Now, when this popped up, I said, "Oh my God, that's what I implanted on my brain." No, not even close. But what had happened was it was the situation I'd been implanting my brain for a long time, and so we knew it was going to happen, and it happened. I knew that I was going to have a relationship with a chemical company that was like no other relationship I ever had, and that's the brand behind me, and it's changed my life. I knew that we were going to be able to influence people in the industry. 15 years ago, when we started to train, we knew that we were going to take and make a difference in people's lives. Sorry, it's fly season here, if you can tell from all the horses around our property, and they've decided they disappeared for 2 days, and they are back today in vengeance. So if I'm shooting them away, that's why. But the fact of you being able to take get an image of where you're going, is absolutely essential. You are, it's just like if you talk to a dietitian or a trainer, you are what you eat. We are what we think. Totally. Some of us, I am not a good student. I am not an ideal student. I hate schoolwork, even today, when I have to take courses. I am a great test taker because I will go in. I'm one of those people that 2 days before the test is due, I start cramming. I get an A, and 2 days later, I don't remember any of it. Not a single part of it. I'm a practical guy. If I can go do it, I'll do it. Before I get started again on another one, is that I want to share with you that look at everybody, and this came from our conversation last night. When you see somebody in any situation, someone in the group you're talking to is going through a serious battle in their life. They've got a mental struggle, they got a family struggle, they got a personal struggle, or they got a health struggle, or they got financial struggles going on. So you got to realize that when we're communicating with people, is realize if they come and kind of lash out at you, is that something's going on in life. Don't get angry. Figure out how you can help them out, because a lot of times it's a very temporary situation that they're in. Many of you won't relate to what I've said many times over and over during different podcasts of my struggles, but you will as you start building companies. You will figure out the stresses. You will figure out the long hours. You will figure out the challenges of hiring people. You will figure out the challenges of firing people. You will figure out the challenges of angry customers. You will figure out how to balance your own life. You will figure out the balance of bringing in a family to it. You will figure out a spouse and the challenges they have. You will figure out an aging parent. You will figure out losing that parent. And all those things come into play in your daily stress. And oh, by the way, you got to run a business, or business is. So here's the thing I want to give you. I want to give you and give you some tools to walk away from. Is, I found out late in life that my mom was stressed at one point, and I couldn't figure out. And her and my grandma were really close. My grandma's 100% Italian, hardcore. A lot of my core values come from that woman. I've said it before. I spent 18 years in the same bedroom. She had one side of the room, I had the other. And when I was 13 years old, pretty miserable having a bedroom with your grandma. Especially when she snored. Just wasn't fun. But by the time I was your age, 16, I figured out it was one of the biggest gifts I'd ever gotten in my life. Is because she was laying down wisdom, and she was funner than hell. She wasn't your average grandma. I came home the first night from drinking. I've never been a drinker, even then. Still now, I'm not. But what happens when you better not know the answer to this, is what happens when you first drink and you lay down and you get on the bed. What's the bed start doing? Man, I lay down, and I'm trying to be as quiet as I can, right? Because I don't want her, I don't want her to know I've been drinking. And she goes, "Put a foot on the ground." And I said, "What? Why would I do that?" And she goes, "Because you're drunk. Whatever you're drinking was really cheap. And put your foot on the ground. It'll help stop the bed from spinning." I mean, what a valuable lesson to be able to all these years say. But I learned a short time, in years, that during that same time period, is my mom was really contemplating putting me up for adoption. And it put a lot of conflict in our house with my mom, my grandma, and me. And, later in life, I understood, I really, when I found that out, I was really angry. I was hurt, that my mom thought about doing that. But as I've figured out the struggles in life, as I figured out, she wasn't trying to protect herself. She was trying to protect me. She thought somebody else could give me a better life. And maybe somebody could have. Maybe somebody could have given me gifts. Maybe I would have had my own bedroom. But maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe I would have been abused. Maybe one of the key characters I started out with in this talk is that I never went homeless and I never went without love. And my mom, I told her that towards the end of her life, was the biggest gift you gave me was loving me unconditionally and without end. That's the biggest thing you could give me. We never had much, but I always had that. And looking back, that's the thing that a lot of people are missing. Yet I had it. So with that is that you've got to love yourself. You got to start with yourself. I know it sounds selfish, but let me tell you, you're going to be a better person to you. You're going to be a better person to your spouse, your significant other, your kids, the people around you, your staff, and everything else if you gift yourself. So when I got into business, even before that, into sports and everything else, I was the kid that could, but I was also the kid that didn't believe. So I'd win that starting position, and to be honest, I'd sabotage it. I'd win that contract for tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I wouldn't lose the money. I wouldn't lose the position, but I wouldn't do my best because I didn't think I could. I was doubtful that I was going to be able to carry out my commitment because I had so many people tell me that was the case. Well, in a very short time, from my mid-20s, I figured out, hey, you know what? I figured out how to do this, and I'm not screwing stuff up. This is pretty cool. Then the finances started coming into play. I started making the money. Then I started making real money, and I didn't know what to do with that money. And one of the things I want to share with you right now is that what I learned really quickly was that it's okay to work hard for your money, but the mistake that entrepreneurs make, almost all of them, is they don't allow their money to work hard for them. As we get out there, many of us, especially those that started with very little, what do? We spend it. We spend it. We blow it. We buy useless stuff. And I'm going to tell you this right now, is the less you feed your body with exercise, the less you feed your body with your mind with healthy exercise, the more junk you allow into your head, the more stress you allow in your head, the more junk you buy because you're trying to satisfy something. Whereas if you go out and you stay mentally healthy and you stay physically healthy and you invest your money, you're going to be happier. You're going to be far ahead. But there's not enough shit that when you start getting burned out, you start looking ways to buy happiness. So for some people, and thank God I didn't have the struggle of drugs. Thank God I didn't have the struggle of alcoholism. What are my struggles? Just stupid things, cars. I mean, things that gave me great joy, but did they replace the joy that I was missing in myself? No. Matter of fact, I found out real quick, you don't own things. Things own you. Because when you go out and buy things, there's attachment, cause, and effects to it. I've had a Grand Canyon level of fear of becoming poor my entire life. And my entire life is that my trigger points for stress is two things: my bank account and my credit score. And it's sad because had I realized a long time ago that you're okay, you've got money in the bank, just don't do anything unwise. And for the most part, I haven't. I've done a couple big risky things in my youth that cost me a lot of money, but that was risky things in my youth, and I rolled the dice. Most time I won, but a couple times I lost. And it's just like going to Vegas. You take your licks and you move on. Would I have changed those things? I'd like to have that money back. Would I have not done the risk? No, I would have done it. Even now, knowing that I was going to lose because of what I learned from the exposure to it. While it was positive thought, deep down, I had serious doubts in my life, and I still fight those demons. Those fears to this day is my self-worth to myself, my worth to others, my credit score, and my bank account. Is that I don't look at it and have to have it grow. I'm just always fearful in the back of my mind that it's going to disappear somehow. To this day. And I also can't stand eating. I will not get near powdered milk to this day, and I won't get near government cheese. You show me government cheese, I gag right then and there. You get me near powdered milk or cheap milk, I gag right then and there. And roaches. I'm terrified of roaches because I had roaches in my house as a kid, and if you get me near a roach now, I freak the hell out. So here's some mindset skills.
And alligators.
And alligators. I don't like alligators either way. So I want to share some takeaway skills. I want to share some ways that you guys can all take and build yourself up. And I want to thank again Penis Products for being a big part of my learning and the ability to take and really the last 5-6 years to study people and really study myself and really come up with a lot of this. Is the first one is fitness is not a hobby or something that you do for fun. It's an essential part of your life. And it should be a central part of your life forever, is that not just physical fitness, but mental fitness, is having escape times, knowing when you're overloaded and you got to get out of it. But just going to the gym, just taking a walk, getting on a bicycle, anything for 20 to 30 minutes a day. And here's what I suggest. If you've got a spouse that likes to do it, that's great. But you need alone time. You need time that you can just be on your own and recover. And it's not a selfish thing to use that exercise time, taking your dog for a walk, something simple. You don't have to go and be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but you've got to be fit and you've got to do it all the time and continually throughout your life. Next is stress will kill you. Stress is directly associated with a lot of mental issues, heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, all of these things. You're young, stress can kill you, because it doesn't go after just somebody that's older, and it will age you very, very quick. This is a saying I borrow from my wife. Diane says all the time, stop borrowing trouble. What that means that what if is a horrible habit to get into, is that what if this happens? What if that happens? Make a plan if it does and get it out of your head. Simple as that. Is that if it hasn't happened yet, most likely won't, and you're just worrying about nothing. So get it out of your head. Long hours is not a badge of honor. I see so many people putting 16-hour days in and bragging about it. I would much rather see he or she take a brag about, I had a full day, a very rewarding day, and I'm heading to the gym at 3:00. That to me is success. Now, if I had those long hours, 16-hour, we had a pretty long day yesterday, right? We'll probably have a pretty long day today, tomorrow, and the next day. That's okay, because again, remember, it's that turbo boost, it's that afterburner. We're just turning it on now and again, and we pull it back off when we're not using it. Realistic hours with a solid profit is a badge of honor, not just the long hours alone. Don't simply work hard for your money. Make your money work hard for you. And then one of the last things I'm going to tie into will be directly tied to that. And then stop procrastinating. Is you can analyze. There's analysis by paralysis by analysis. You could analyze and look, analyze and look, analyze and look. Analyze, look. If it looks solid, it passed the stink test. Pass it by your CPA. Make sure that everybody wants a lawyer. I don't know why everybody wants a lawyer that's in business. I think it's because it makes us feel not a lawyer. Who could this? No, you want a good CPA. You want a good bookkeeper and you want a good CPA. Those two need to communicate, and you do. I've got a dashboard on my phone. Best thing to happen. I can go see exactly what's happening with every piece of my finances in 5 minutes. Our CPA guides the way. Not an attorney, a CPA. I can't tell you the last time we needed an attorney. Not very often, but we use our CPA. If not a couple times a week, several times a month. Trust others with workload and delegate. You're good, but you're not that good. And if you're that good, you can train somebody to be pretty damn close to you. But also, don't expect them to be you. Now, can the work turn out the same? Absolutely. Will they do it the exact same way? No. The other thing is that give them a really good work environment. But most importantly, delegate to them. Delegate. Now, that doesn't only come to your staff. That also comes to family members that you're in a relationship with them. You're self-employed. You're going to need a little help. And don't be bashful to help. Explain to them, I'm an early riser. I like to get up early. I don't like to stay up late. I like to go to bed and get up early. I like to go train. And explain to them that's your priorities and go after your priorities. Vacations are not for the weak. Wow, man, vacations? Who needs a vacation? You do. Most likely is that you've got somebody in your mind that's giving you some stinking thinking and thinking that you just got to crank it nonstop until you make it. Well, guess what? Guess what you're going to do when you make it? You're going to want to make it more. So you're never going to stop forward progress. You're never going to stop moving ahead. You're always going to keep going on. So you're never. It's a perpetual, never-ending work cycle if you don't take vacations. Now, here's the other thing about either short vacations or long vacations. It's a reset. You come back and feel healthy. You come back and you're more creative. You come back and you're not burned out. So take those trips and often. Next, plan everything out. You got to get really good at getting organized. Is that you've got to, everything in your life should be organized. Is that you should be using software, utilizing software for your business. You should be utilizing software for your finances. You should be using software for invoicing people. First thing you want to do is get paid. You always get paid. You never leave a job without getting paid. You always want to get paid. I am COD, cash on delivery. Now, electronic invoices and so forth, yeah, but about 2 days out, I'm making a call to see why they haven't paid that invoice. Or sending a reminder. I want to get paid, and I want to get paid right then and there. Volunteer in your community. Is find something that you can call your own and give back to your community. Everybody wants to take withdrawals out of their community, business-wise, but they don't figure out you've got to put deposits back in. That is your community. There's so many things that you can do, and it doesn't matter what age you're at. But I will gain, the younger you are, and the more that you volunteer, the more eyes are going to get on you because it's not normal. And you will stand out just by doing that. And detailers, what are we known for? A lot of detailers have really tarnished our reputations as true professionals. And if you go out and show them how shiny you are in life, not just what you can do on cars, is guess what? That's going to bring up your reputation, but the entire reputation of the industry. So you're an ambassador. Don't just look at it just your business, but you're an ambassador.
If that concept, if that concept would kind of spread throughout the world, man, it would change everything.
It would, and a lot of people don't realize it. My passion for search and rescue has been a lifetime passion. I can say lifetime, 30 plus years. And 90% of the rescue teams in the world are volunteer. Whether it be on the water, over in Europe where they got the boat rescue teams, whether it be right here in the wilderness in Big Bear, the backcountry of Idaho, Alaska, Russia, all over the world, those teams are volunteer. But here the deal is I've worked over my volunteer career as I've worked with Air Force officials. We've looked for downed aircraft from the Air Force. We've worked with Army for downed aircraft. We've worked with Marine Corps for missing Marines. We've worked with all these different agencies as volunteers. And that's why I tell the military side of it is that we don't have the same culture because our soldiers go out and get paid to do what these volunteers are stepping away from their jobs of and volunteering to do. And it's complete. We walk in and it's a complete different vibe because you got the volunteers there with a whole heart and us there wanting to get a paycheck. And it's just two different cultures fighting. Now, do they come in and help? They help a lot, but we can't be the frontline search and rescue because we don't have the right culture. But bring a culture of volunteerism into your town, your community. Bring it into your employees. Say, hey guys, we're going to take a day off. You're going to get paid today. We're going to go volunteer to do something. Maybe one of my pet peeves, and I don't even know how to fix it, is I live in a beautiful town and I love my community. I love it. I absolutely love my community, and it's just littered with litter. You know, it's just, and almost now, if you volunteered to, you know, clean a highway project, I don't know if you could keep it clean. You know, that people have gotten so messy. But with animals, go to the shelter, you know, take donations at your shop, have a open garage and say, hey, there's a dog that's on death row right now at the shelter. We want to give it another 3 months. So anybody tonight, I hope you enjoyed the open garage. I've got a little pot out there. We're taking donations. My goal is I would actually like to give the dog a year to live, but 3 months is I'd be happy with that. And go out and work with the shelters. Go out and do everything. Go volunteer with your local fire departments for large animal rescue and evacuation training. Is they will put that training on, most of them for you, and give that to you. And they need volunteers to help with that in communities when communities, you know, either earthquake or fire or floods, whatever it is there's a lot of ways that you can volunteer in your home community. Find hobbies, be dedicated to them. I don't care what it is. You have got to get your mind clear. And having a hobby, whether it be woodworking, golf, you know, going to the gym could be that's a great one. Hiking, fishing, doesn't matter. But really get into it. Because I'm going to tell you, when you're diverse and you're not just thinking about business, when you've got something else that you're really deep about, what it does is, you know, we use such a small portion of our brains. It really does open up brain cells, man. I think you can go from a 10-pound brain to a 20-pound brain pretty quick by finding other interests. You know, and being a Renaissance person, as I've said that time and time again, is have a lot of interest, read a lot. I read probably an average of 20 minutes a day, sometimes a couple hours. Last night, I stayed up, finished a little bit of this, and then read for about an hour. I just dove in and read, and I loved it. I came out feeling much better. This is one, as I get into these last couple, is they're the most important, is choose your influences very carefully. Is both you and I are at two spectrums. You're just starting your life, and I'm well into mine. And both have some wild influencers in them. Is that at your age, those people aren't thinking like you right now. And you know what? You're probably going to get teased a lot, because while other people are going out and doing things that are goofy, you're building a business. And other people are going out and taking and getting a part-time job at McDonald's, you're detailing. What you're doing is building an empire. They're not going to understand that. You're going to be an oddity. That's okay. Smile, tap them on the back, and say, I love what I do. Because pretty soon, it's exactly, I have people that teased me in my youth about doing exactly what you're doing, and they don't tease me anymore. And I'm not mean to them. I accept and most of my friends that were kind of mean about it are some of the biggest fans I've got now. They've turned the dead opposite way, and I'm so grateful for that, because I probably was weird. You know, I probably was psycho. I probably was different. I know I was, but own it. And on the opposite side, as we get a little older, is some of our friends get pretty damn lazy and compliant, and they want to sit down in the chair. And I see 30s and 40-year-olds that want to do that. I can't imagine that. You know, I recently, with my wife, you guys saw me mind map the other day. I taught you that little skill, just a touch of it, is that I mind map out my entire life of everything I want to do. And I think I shared this with you guys, but I'll share it with the rest of you. Is I mind mapped it out of all the fun things, of all the states, cities, wildernesses, countries, everything I want to see, all the activities I want to do, everything. And I'm sitting there, and I must have had a really confused look on my face. Diane goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Man, I just mind mapped all the fun stuff out. I want to do the rest of my life." She goes, "Well, what's wrong with that one?" I said, "I need to live another 75 years. And I said, it means I need to be like 130 when I die." And she's like, "Well, you're just going to have to cram." I said, I can't. I mean, I don't know what I got to do. I got to make a new list, find out what's important. I can't imagine sitting down. But yet right now, in the society we're in, with with all the drama with COVID, there are a lot of people that are so freaked out about dying, they stopped living right now. They completely stopped living a life. And I can't imagine doing that. Now, I can't imagine being careful. I can't imagine taking precautions. I can't imagine just being real, but I can't imagine not living our dreams out. I can't imagine stopping that. And we just can't at any age. Hire a really good CPA. Whether you're small and brand new or you're seasoned. Your CPA is a good friend of ours, Tom, taught us this years ago. And I really lived by it for probably close to the last 10 years. And your CPA is one of the most important relationships you can have in your business and in your life. And then lastly, and this is aimed for all of us, doesn't matter your age. This is a goal. And this is a big goal. And a lot of people don't understand this goal is that for every $100 you bring in, set 25 aside. Okay. For every $100 you bring in, set $25 aside. Now, if you do that, your nest egg is going to go pretty quick. Now, there's going to be times that you might have to go rob that to pay the bills. You know, you might not have enough. You might have to go take 20 of that 25 out on some months. That's okay because you still saved 5. And there's some months that you only have to take $5 out to pay the bills for every 100. And there's some months you won't touch it. And as you get further and further in, you'll touch it less and less. And so it's a great way to put money away for a rainy day and for investments, because where you're really going to make money is by your money working hard for you. And you can't do that until you got a nest egg. So with that, hey, Chris, I know this was kind of a different one.
Can I jump in on that last one real quick?
Absolutely.
You know, I saw that on your notes when you sent them over, and you know, 25%, that's a pretty big chunk, you know, and that could actually kind of scare people when they think about it. It's like, well, where am I going to get 25% of my income to essentially not touch and to put away? So, you know, if you can't do 25% at first, do 10, you know what I mean? And then 6 months from now, reevaluate it and add another 5% for a total of 15 until you get to that goal. You know, it's 25% could look like a big mountain. So just take it in little chunks until you get there.
And you know, when I was young, I started that when I was young. And so I remember I wanted to buy my first really nice car, but I hate payments. So for 2 years, I did that. I just took 25%. I was young. You know, I was in my 20s, making good money, making great money. But what for a 20-something-year-old, you know, it wasn't by standards, it wasn't a lot of money. But I lived real simple. I hiked a lot. I skied a lot. Skiing wasn't expensive back then. And I saved, and I ended up buying that car with no payments. And so, yeah, I paid the price, and there was months I would put 25%. I was religious about it, and I'd have to go pull some out, you know, because I just couldn't quite make it. But man, try to make it to that big number and then pull out as little as you can, because it's muscle memory. Anything you get in the habit of doing, you're going to continue to do, and you'll do it throughout your life. And most Americans, they're 2 paychecks away from completely being broke. And so if you can take and change that, the other thing is being influenced to the other generations, you know, your own kids, other kids, you, everything else, is that we've got so many bad habits being spread through society right now on finances. And it's a scary fact that 1/3 right now, anybody under the age of 40 or 45 is 1/3 of their income will go towards consumer debt. That's interest, just consumer interest. That's a scary number. That's an unacceptable number. Is that we've been trained that financing everything and you got to have is okay, and it's not. You've got to be very careful with your money. So hey, well, happy 100th, Chris.
Yeah. I'll you know, it doesn't have to be your age. Know, it's not a big deal, but it's a fun number, you know, and we'll look forward to the next one, which will be 500, right?
Yeah, that'll be the big one. You know, 250 will probably be a good one. That's a good one, you know. So
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks a lot for tuning in, and hope you again. Thanks PNS Products for stepping up. We're gonna go get our. Matter of fact, we're gonna be installing some sole on a car right now here today. We're gonna have sole laid down here before we get done today. So we got a fun day of. We got some headlight sanding to do, some paint sanding to do, all the wet work. We're going to do, and then we'll be ready for you when you get here tomorrow.
Yep, I'll be there tomorrow. Hey, did you get that part for the pressure washer?
It's already installed and on.
Good. Cool.
Yeah. Hey, and the guys did want to know if Mike Smith did send that outfit because they'd like you to wear it.
Unfortunately, it didn't arrive on time. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. We'll make sure to get it. Yeah, because, yeah, man, it's Lisa's birthday, and he was kind of he was hoping that you're going to bring a cupcake, with that outfit on, Okay, we'll make that happen for you. All right, guys. Yeah. Hey, happy detailing all. You guys take care. We'll talk to you next time. See you.
All right. See you guys.